It's showtime.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's episode we're going to discuss the different methods that you can use to be more assertive. And this is part 2 of our assertiveness series, so if you haven't seen part 1, check that out. If not, don't worry, we'll cover it briefly in this video. So let's go.
Listen to me very carefully.
So just a quick brief recap. Assertiveness is a special form of communication where you can freely express your thoughts, beliefs, opinions and feelings in an open way without violating the rights of another person. It is not aggression, but it is an essential social skill that you need to develop in order to stand up for yourself and stop people from imposing themselves onto your personal boundaries. It is also good for your self-esteem, and it makes you a much more effective communicator. So let's talk about some ways in which you can develop this skill, because it really is important. Now in part 1 we covered a few methods, and we'll briefly touch upon them throughout this video just to give you all the tools necessary to develop this skill. Okay, so method number 1 is you need to value yourself, okay, because a lot of you who suffer from assertiveness issues don't have high self-esteem. Okay, you don't value yourself, you don't really respect yourself, and as a result you allow people to impose themselves on your personal boundaries. Now I recommend everyone watching this develop their self-esteem. There's lots of books you can read on the subject, and we have a lot of videos on our channel that can help you in this area. When you have high self-esteem, you're more likely to communicate yourself more effectively, and you're less likely to take other people's BS. Okay, so developing high self-esteem and self-esteem in general is a highly recommended tip. Method number 2, learn to say no more often. Because as I said in the previous video, a lot of you are saying yes to requests even when you secretly want to say no. And again, this could be rooted in the self-esteem and confidence issue that we just mentioned, but a lot of you are just saying yes to everything that people ask of you, and this is a recipe for disaster. Practice saying no. Initially, when you first start doing this, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the more you'll get comfortable with it, and the more it will naturally become a part of you.
Put that cookie down now!
Method number 3, be direct. A lot of people who are not assertive are really all over the place with their communication. When you're direct, the person who you're speaking with will have no misunderstanding or cannot misinterpret your words, as you're communicating directly and effectively. This is really important, especially if you're dealing with someone who has an ego, or you're dealing with someone who has the habit of trying to impose themselves on your boundaries or twist your words. Being direct is essential and crucial for these types of people. Next method, stay calm. You know, assertiveness does not mean you have to be aggressive or, oh, I want my own ways, or you can't speak to me like that. Rather, it's more of a calm, direct approach. Kind of similar to the way I'm speaking right now. It's kind of balanced, monotone, but it's not overly, or, you know, I'm scared, I don't really want to ask this. It's more of a balanced approach, okay? Try not to let anyone throw you off your game, and again, it will take some practice to get there, but you will get there eventually. Alright? Next method, set boundaries. As I've said before, boundaries is essential because you really need to establish what behaviours you will tolerate and what behaviours you won't tolerate. You really need to sit down one afternoon and write this stuff down. And as I said in the previous video, we've got a video on personal boundaries which goes into great depth on how you can develop them. So I highly recommend all of you check that out. But anyway, by developing personal boundaries, you'll know exactly when someone is crossing your boundary and you can act appropriately. Okay? Next method, work on your body language. Have firm, direct, assertive body language. Direct eye contact, stand up straight, don't fidget too much, and be firm in your stance. This will come naturally when you develop your self-esteem and self-worth, but I thought it's worth mentioning as body language does play a large part in communication in general. Next method, Express yourself in a positive way. Remember, like I said in the previous video, being assertive doesn't mean you come across aggressive. Interacting through a positive intention lens will counteract that urge you may get to be aggressive in your communication. Remember, the goal is always to establish a win-win situation. If that can't be established, you walk away, okay? Next method, do not be afraid to upset people, okay? Listen, if you're communicating in a fair, balanced, direct way, and the person you're speaking to is getting upset about that, that's not your problem, okay? That's their problem. Because if they're trying to communicate or create a situation that is win-lose, in other words, you're losing and they're winning, then this is not an ideal or healthy situation to be in, okay? Normally, when you deal with people who like to manipulate others, they will get really offended when you assert yourself. So don't take responsibility for their actions or their emotions. That's their problem, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you, okay? Next method, practice, practice, practice. Being assertive is not something that you can pick up in one day. Far from it. You actually have to develop and practice the skill on an ongoing basis. Okay, when you first start to be assertive, it might come across incongruent and you might feel a bit scared and your communication might be a bit stifled. But that's completely natural. Just like any new behavior, when you first begin with it, it's going to feel unnatural or, in other words, uncalibrated. And that's completely normal. Expect that. It's all part of the process of integrating a new behavior into your character. But the more you do it, the more you practice, over time, it will naturally become a part of who you are. And it will get easier. Okay? Being assertive isn't easy, but it's a skill you must develop, and it is something you can learn and get better at with practice. We'll leave things there, but stay tuned for part 3 of our assertiveness series, which I'm sure is going to blow your mind. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will speak to you in the next one. Peace.